I want to thank you for joining me, and for everybody who watches this is Dave Stevenson. He is the founder, co-founder, well, he and his sons run Fierce Foundation. I always want to give your sons credit. And he's also been a guest on Game on Glio. He was on the second season. So Dave is joining us today because the Fierce Foundation has finally done something they've been chomping at the bit to do for quite some time, and that is start a grant application process for patients and families who are currently going through very significant or rare cancer diagnoses. So Dave, tell us a little bit about this process and why this is so significant and what it is you want everybody to know about the application process.
First of all, thank you so much, Shannon, for allowing me the opportunity to talk a little bit about the Fierce Foundation and the exciting news that we have. Really appreciate the partnership and the work that you're doing. So thank you for that. So we have been in this process for a couple of years now. I appreciate you mentioning the boys. I think as we talked about before on your podcast, their role in helping us come up with a way to take something positive out of the tragedy that we all endured has been a really important part of their healing process. And that is how the Fierce Foundation came about. And our focus is on helping people that find themselves in situations similar to the one Karen was in when she was diagnosed with glioblastoma back in October of 2016. Our objective is to be able to help patients, families, and caregivers that are facing a diagnosis like this. We certainly understand what that means and the implications to both the patient and the caregiver and those that surround them and love them. And it can have a really profound impact on families, both financially and also from an emotional standpoint as well. And so our hope and objective is to be able to provide some relief to families that are going through something similar. And so about 4 weeks ago or so, we were able to, after a couple of years of fundraising through the pandemic, we finally were able to get ourselves to the point where we're in a position to be able to start being able to give out some grants to help patients, families, and caregivers that are, going through this. And so we understand the impact that community support can have on the lives of patients and families that are facing a rare cancer diagnosis. And so our grant process is offered to both individuals and nonprofit organizations. They're available for patients that are battling a primary brain tumor or other rare cancers, to the immediate family members or caregivers of such a patient, and also to nonprofit organizations that are providing services to patients that are diagnosed with a rare cancer. We do have more information about the application process and the ability to both submit an application via email or to our mailing address. And it's all on our website at www.fierce-foundation.org.
Fierce dash as in like a middle dash, not a lower.
Exactly.
Okay. Yep. So the grant process, as far as it applies to nonprofits, that let's say a nonprofit applies for a grant and they're supporting either brain tumors, brain cancer, or another significant rare diagnoses, rare cancer.
Yes.
How does that, they apply, is the money that they're applying for specifically supposed to go to the families that they're servicing?
Yes, that's the
How
intention.
do you keep track of making sure that that's exactly where the money goes?
Yeah, we have a process in place with our grant committee within our organization to review those applications. And also, you if you go to the website and you look at the grant application, there are some parameters associated with that, and there is some documentation that we are hoping to be able to collect in order to make sure that the money that we are collecting is going for those uses that I discussed.
Okay. And then if a family is applying, or a patient or a caregiver specifically, obviously they go through a similar process. Can they specify? I mean, obviously people can go and they can see the process when they go in, but to kind of entice people, to let people know that this is what you're going to see when you get into the website and onto the application. Let's say, a family is really struggling to pay some of the medical expenses or even pay some of their everyday utility expenses because all of their finances are going towards medical care, external treatments, holistic, you name it, what have you.
Yeah.
Can they use the money for that purpose?
Absolutely. The
Okay.
application, when somebody goes on, they'll see that it is intentionally fairly open ended, right? And the
Okay.
purpose of that is we want to be able to understand and realize that there are lots of different kind of situations and impacts that families are feeling. So
Mhm.
because of that, there is intentionally some open-endedness to it to allow
Okay.
people to really apply to address their specific need. So absolutely.
Okay. Now, what about funeral costs?
Yeah, unfortunately, we recognize that there are lots of different implications for
Hmm.
families, and for the same reason, right? That's why the application process is open to patients, to families, and to caregivers, because we
Hmm.
recognize that there is a continuum of care to those three kind of parts of the process that
Hmm.
might extend, beyond the initial diagnosis and the caregiving and the patient. And so, yes, things like funeral expenses or
Okay.
bereavement counseling for children or for surviving caregivers is all part of that. So definitely.
That's huge. And the reason I bring that piece of it up specifically, because there are some services previously that have been in place through other organizations that stop the minute the patient passes. Um, and it's something that I've been in discussion with for some other things, but you and I both know as a widow, as a widower, that there are insurmountable obstacles that come up after
Definitely.
your spouse passes away. And I will be quite honest, I wasn't expecting the funeral costs to be as much as the wedding. So that was a bit of a sticker shock. And there are a lot of people that have been going through that recently, and the costs have just gone up since the pandemic. So, it's when you're dealing with so much as it is, to be able to have something that might even just be able to provide a little bit of breathing room when you're going through all this planning and trying to get some closure and put some things together after your loved one has passed, it is kind of a relief. I wish something like this had been available when Mike had passed, because it was daunting to say the least. And then of course all of the leftover medical bills come rolling in
Yeah.
as well. So you just get inundated.
Yeah.
And at times I know caregivers and family members that might have been part of the day-to-day caregiving process, or maybe they, if it wasn't a spouse, maybe it was a family member who was the primary caregiver,
Yeah.
that gets saddled with certain things after the fact. But especially for the caregiver, it's to have all of that kind of steamroll you. You feel like you're treading water after the fact and after they're gone. So I think that this is such a great opportunity that you guys are providing. Is there a cutoff? So does this run until there's no money left, or is there an end date? What should patients and families be keeping an eye out for, or nonprofits be keeping an eye out for when they're looking at this?
Yeah, so we've got some of those parameters are on the website. The current grant application process is open until April 9th.
Okay.
It is likely, right, that we're going to have kind of a rolling cycle of these grant application periods, but the current one is open until April 9th.
April 9th. Okay. So for everybody that's listening, for everybody that's watching, April 9th is the cutoff date for the current grant application process through the Fierce Foundation. I will provide their website and information either at the forefront or at the end of this video so that you guys know where to go. It's a great opportunity. And if you're a nonprofit that is offering services to patients and families, please take a look at this. If you are a patient or a caregiver in need of some extra support right now, it's okay to ask for help. And I think that that's why, this is a big deal. And what's nice is that you have control. If you don't want to ask for help, you don't have to. But if you really feel like you need some help, it's okay to ask for help. And it's okay to say, I'm a bit inundated. We have a lot going on. And when it comes to rare cancers, some of the costs just outside of, yes, insurance may cover your basic chemo, your radiation, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to rare cancers, there are a whole host of external options, especially with brain cancer right now, we seem to be kind of steamrolling into some great opportunities, but they cost. And a lot of times insurance isn't covering some of those external costs.
Right.
And those can add up. If there's an issue and you have to call an ambulance, sometimes insurance isn't covering your ambulance ride. And that can be thousands of dollars in and of itself. So we understand, Dave and I both, Game on Glio, Fierce Foundation, we understand how difficult this process is. We have both been there. We both lived it day in and day out, which is exactly why Fierce Foundation is offering this opportunity. So if you are in need, please reach out. I think this is such an amazing support to be offering communities like this. And I think that I'm glad that you guys are doing this. And again, this could be a rolling basis. So if you miss the April 9th date,
Exactly.
keep an eye out on the website. You can follow them on Instagram. We will announce when the next rolling grants come out and make sure that everybody is aware of it. But I'm so glad that you guys are doing this. And I know it's something we talked about a while ago. I'm so excited that it's finally kind of come to fruition. I think it's going to be so needed in this community.
Yeah, thank you. We are too. And again, I really appreciate the opportunity, Shannon, to talk a little bit about what we're doing. And please don't be afraid to ask, right? As Shannon said, if you have a need, that's the reason that this process exists. We really want to be able to help you. So if you have a need, please reach out.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving us this information and sharing this with us. I will put this up on all of our socials. Again, we will have the website and where to go to apply for a grant up on the video either before or at the end of this video. So please keep an eye out for that. And Dave, it was so great to talk to you again. It was great to see you. actually be able to see you face to face. It's been a while. I know we've been talking quite a bit, but I love what Fierce Foundation is doing. I'm really proud of the work that you guys are putting out there.
Great. Thank you so much, Shannon. I really appreciate the time.
Great. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.